Alright, we're mounted back up again. Let's see if it works. Running in reverse direction with the tool bit upside down. And let's move back. Appears to be cutting. We'll take it in another 5 thousandths. We still haven't gotten that low spot yet. All right. Take a little deeper cut. Okay, that time I took 10 thousandths, and we got more of that. In fact, we actually almost got it. So let's take another 5. Oh yeah, that's much nicer. Alright, now we're gonna try to face it off. That annealing apparently worked. Okay, something's not quite working. Now it's working on the center. Maybe I'm spinning too fast for the outer rim, or it's just still too hard. tools maybe? Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. Alright, well let's come in just a titch more. The tool bit. Alright, now I need to cut the flange recess to create this raised boss center part. And so we'll come in and we're getting close. Looks like it's still a 1/8 of an inch too big. Let's see if a different tool bit will work better for cutting down into that shoulder. And my camera battery died while I was trying to change the bit. And at the same time, the socket screw, set screw, stripped out. The head stripped out, so I couldn't remove it. So I had to change to a different tool holder, change to a different tool bit. I went to a square brazed carbide bit so that I could cut a square shoulder for the boss. And once I finally got that all put together, I was a little flustered and didn't even check the camera. So I continued on from there and cut down the boss until it was a very tight, snug fit to the chuck. I then removed the backing plate from the spindle, installed transfer screws into the back of the chuck in the mounting bolt holes, and with the chuck jaws down onto the bench and the adapter plate in position, a couple of wraps with a mallet marked the mounting bolt locations on the backing plate. I moved over to the drill and I drilled through and counterbored for the socket head mounting screws. As it turns out, I had just barely enough room in the thickness of the overlapping flange to not tear through on both sides, but I did have to grind the socket heads outer dimension just a little bit because they were a little too tight against the counterboard holes. So this is the 6-inch 3-jaw chuck that I'm trying to install. When I received it, I opened it up, and the jaws are removable, reversible. So that's one reason I bought this particular one. Plus they're quite tall in order to hold things much more securely. So that's all wonderful. Supposedly each jaw is lapped and set for the specific location. This one has a 3. Let's see if this one has a different number. I've already removed them one at a time and flipped them around. That's why they're this direction. Now this one has, oh, it has a 22179, and this one has a 32179. So there's that. Now the other issue I have is when I unpacked it, it was wrapped in this oily wax paper or whatever it is, and you can see the dirt ring and the cut throughs, but underneath it was wrapped with this plastic which is full of metal chips and shavings and dirt. So I have to take the chuck apart and clean it thoroughly and might as well debur it and see what I can do about making it as good as possible, as useful as possible. Okay, so now we're going to take it apart and clean it up. I need some more light. Okay, now little tiny screws there. It's awfully clean inside here for all that junk under it, but it also hasn't got a drop of oil. I guess the oil is reserved for smearing all over the outside. One. Two. I guess I'm supposed to take the jaws out first. All right. I thought isn't the scroll supposed to drop out? Yeah. I've got to get a piece of wood to drive it out. Huh. All right, what am I doing wrong? There. Okay, got her out. And if we look down it. Alright, so let's see what comes up with the towel here. Yeah, nice and clean. Alright, now. Oh, those are sharp edges down there. I don't know how I'm going to deburr those. Start with a flat file. Can't see what I'm doing here. Alright, so what I'm trying to do is get down into, get this edge right here down inside. So just lightly filing and get this one. Okay, and the next one behind that. That's better. And use this little square one. Catch these outer burrs. And just repeat that for all of them. So okay, well, I ran into a bit of a problem. The adapter plate that I was machining, that I had to anneal in the last part, actually got bigger from the annealing. And because of that, the alignment boss on the back side of this, the recess for that boss is now Not a snug fit, but a very loose fit. Apparently, gray cast iron will grow in an annealing process of 0.1 to 0.5%. Now, 0.1% doesn't sound like much, but on the 5-inch diameter of the below plate, the previous adapter that this is mounted to, that comes to about 5 thousandths. The 0.5% comes out to 25 thousandths, which is quite a lot of extra room. So, thinking I would have to scrap this part and start all over again, I got online to see if I could find an adapter plate, and I kept coming across these set thru chucks that have these centering screws in the body. Well, I decided why not? Since I'm overlapping this other flange under here, I went ahead and drilled and tapped 4 holes around the diameter and put set screws in there, and then proceeded to true it up with my test indicator to within a 1/2 tenth, I think, if I'm reading it right. Anyway, when I first mounted it up, it was all over the place, just wobbling up and down. But now, it's actually pretty smooth and pretty true. And I'm really excited by that. So, there's another option, is to, if you make your own adapter plate, to go ahead and make it overlap the under flange so that you can then make it a set thru. So then an $89 chuck now becomes a $400 set thru, or whatever they are. They're more than I can afford. So there we have it. Now, the whole reason for this entire process and foolishness, if I can find the stupid chuck key that was right here on the table a minute ago. Oh, there it is. Okay. The whole point of getting this larger chuck was to be able to put these in. Now, let's see, that's this one. So I can slide that down in there, and I can wiggle it around, and now I have a good solid grasp of this 5C collet block so that I can actually use it. Now I may have to adjust it, shim it, but I'll get in here and check it with the dial indicator as I go to use it. And so that's why I went to this bigger chuck, because the 5-inch chuck, the jaws only stick up about 3/4 of an inch, whereas these are 1.5 inches. This is a no-brainer. 3/4 of an inch grabbing onto this and then trying to machine out here is just too much stick out and too little grasp of the block. So how does that look? There it is. So success completed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, comment.